Hello everyone, Deb Floros for Jesse James Beads, the Magical Mystery Bead Box for September Creature Feature, and I'm going to be using beads with all of the bead mixes for each one of the amazing Creature Feature movies. And the cool thing we're going to do today is make a multi-strand stretch bracelet. And I love working with stretch bracelets because you can use all the amazing beads from these bead mixes. So what I'm doing is using some 0.70 millimeter elasticity stretch cord from Beadalon, and you can fit seed beads onto this stretch cord. So I'm using 11/0 seed beads and combining it with beads from each one of these mixes. Now, I'm making a separate bracelet for each one. So each mix I got out and I used a certain number of seed beads in between each bead. So for the first bracelet, I used 5 seed beads. For a lot of the other bracelets, I used 3 seed beads. I always started with 2 or 3 seed beads at the beginning of the bracelet and 2 or 3 at the other end to make a total of 5. Now there's large hole beads in this box, in these mixes, and I chose from Frankenstein box the large hole bead there, and I'm going to use that to pass all of the other bracelets through. So the first bracelet you're just going to string, and then you're going to take that large hole bead and string that on last. Then I'm going to use a surgeon's knot to knot the end of this. Now, if you look on the back of the package of the elasticity cord, you will see a very close-up diagram, but essentially I take one cord, wrap the other cord around it 2 to 3 times, and then I tie a knot. I usually tie a couple of additional knots just to be safe, and I would highly recommend you use glue for each one of the bracelet knots as you go. So I use a GS Hypo Cement for my glue of choice for stretch cord. And I would suggest just knotting, using the glue, setting it aside to dry, and then come back when you've allowed enough time for it to dry, recommended on your packaging of your glue, and then create your second one. You can actually create the others and just wait to actually attach it. Now I trim off the excess cord, and that cord can tuck in under that large hole bead. I always do a little test to make sure that the bracelet is secure, and sometimes try it on my wrist. Now I think it's also highly recommended that each one of the bracelets be a slightly different size. So it could be just a little bit a little bit longer or a little bit shorter than the one before. This is going to allow all of these bracelets to play nicely. So I'm taking the next round of beads from the next creature feature, and I'm just doing the beads in somewhat of a pattern and somewhat of a knot pattern. You can do whatever you would like here. This is sort of a free-flowing, free-form kind of thing to get a really cool look at the end. I think the more abstract, the better here. But here's, I did 3 beads in between the beads, or seed beads in between the beads in this second strand. Now, you're gonna wanna put that cording through the hole at the beginning or at the end of the stringing of the bracelet. That large hole bead is going to be the central point of this bracelet, and all of your strands are going to go through it. So you can see there now I've got 2 strands, just testing it out to make sure it's working okay. Now, another thing about your stretch bracelets, you'll want to pre-stretch your stretch cord. Highly recommend you do this because this will allow some of that stretch to stay longer. So you'll want to pre-stretch the cord, then do your stringing, and then, then get the bracelet through that large hole bead. And as you get more and more to go through, It's going to be a little trickier to see it and to get it done. And the last bracelet, so there are 5 bead mixes. You're making 5 strands. The last bracelet, you may only be able to fit the cord through without beads. So instead of those 5 seed beads, 2 on one side, 3 on the other side, you may just want to take the cord through. That may be all that will fit. That large hole bead is big, but when you put 5 strands worth of seed beads through it, it takes up a lot of space. So I'm testing as I go. I'm adding and doing those surgeon's knots and cutting off my excess. I love how this is looking. It's so much fun, so colorful, and all of those movies are represented, and it's just really cool. So taking those pieces and putting the knot into that last one and pulling that bead strand tight, trying it on, and it's jumbled and fun. You can take that large hole bead and flip it over to the top of your wrist, or you can show off the piece just without it and have it at the back. I love this. It's so much fun. A great way to use all these fun bead mixes in this September Magical Mystery Bead Box. I love this creature feature bead box. It is so fantastic. Get your own at jessiejamesbeads.com. Thanks for watching.